Revelation chapter 2. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, These things saith he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil. And thou hast tried them which say they are apostles, and are not, and hast found them liars. And hast borne, and hast patience, and for my name's sake hast labored, and hast not fainted. Nevertheless I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. Remember therefore from whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent. But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. And unto the angel of the church of Smyrna write, These things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. And to the angel of the church of Pergamos write, These things saith he which hath the sharp sword with 2 edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwelleth. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. Repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. But unto you, I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan, as they speak, I will put upon you none other burden, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Revelation chapter 2. I just want to start talking about how symbolism, it's very evident in something like Book of Revelation, how important symbolism is, and you're not crazy if you pay attention to that stuff. just going through school and the media, they really brainwash you into thinking that, well, two different things. One, that symbolism is really boring and it only happens in literature, and that's basically it. And that you're crazy if you pay attention to things and you make connections, and especially numbers. Movies like A Beautiful Mind, they want you thinking that it's crazy to pay attention to the numbers. Don't pay attention to anything. Don't look for certain numbers and keep track of it. They really brainwash people into thinking those separate things. And I think it's just to kill the spiritual. Even modern day Christianity is so spiritually dry, if you think about it. A lot of these people, they think that they're spinning on a space ball and that everything is because of physics, and that's it, that only science is everything. But then they also are into Jesus, I guess. Just how spiritually dry that is compared to, say, believing in flat earth and being really into symbolism and into researching things yourself and having your own opinion. Just very, very different approaches. And I obviously think that one's better than the other. Okay, so Revelation chapter 2, verse 2, this is already just going to get real good. And this is going to be a Paul bashing video. And this gets brought up. Not the only one to say this. This isn't like my theory. So Revelation chapter 2, verse 2, part of it, I'm going to read, "Thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and hast found them liars." So I think that maybe they're referencing Saul here. And I think it's kind of interesting that both John, doing a little bit of historical research, people can fact check me on this because, I don't know, maybe it's not right. Based off of what Google told me, so who knows, somebody will have to fact check where in the Bible does it say this, that John and Paul were in Ephesus, which would be interesting because in this is the letter to Ephesus that talks about people who say that they're apostles and are not, and has tried and found them liars. Because what's also interesting is that, again, feel free to fact check me, Ephesians, I believe, it was allegedly written by Paul while he was in prison in Ephesus. And I don't know, even though I read some of that, it doesn't seem, Ephesians to me doesn't sound like something that was written by somebody in prison. It sounds like the most hot air, it sounds like you get all the 501c3 churches together on a Sunday and you use like AI to generate the complete average of everything that they say, and like that's what it seems like. To me it reads like nothing. So much of what Paul says really doesn't make any sense to me, and it seems like, yeah, just somebody who likes to hear the sound of their own voice, and it does nothing for me. Anyways, I think it's interesting that Ephesians was allegedly written in prison, and here we're talking, this verse talks about people. The letter to Ephesians, the Ephesians talks about people that are tried as apostles and are not. Anyways, it also says that they're found them liars, and kind of just a side thing. Saul does talk about deceiving people before, and he's a phony, and he also has guile, which is mentioned. Okay, so I guess what I'll read here, I just took some screenshot. Ephesians, well, like what is Ephesians? This is from Wikipedia. According to New Testament scholar Daniel Wallace, the theme may be stated pragmatically as Christians get along with each other, maintain the unity practically which Christ has effected positionally by his death. What? This sounds like this person got some speech lessons from Paul. What are you trying to say, buddy? Affected positionally. And shouldn't it be affected? But I don't know. Anyways, Christians get along with each other, maintain the unity. A lot of it is about submission. This is actually what's actually interesting is this Ephesians got used to promote slavery because it talks about like submit to your master. And this is why, I believe that this is why, so I'll have, maybe people in the comments who hold this position can tell me how correctly. I got this. I've heard people make claims that Saul, was like an agent of Rome, and that a big part of his agenda was to get people to submit to government authorities. And it seems pretty reasonable to me, because a lot of the stuff that Saul says that pastors love to talk about is that kind of stuff. Submission to your masters on earth, as if Jesus was going around listening to all the people in long robes. Anyways, I have some more stuff to read through. What is this? Husband and wife, parent and child, master and slave. I'm just reading a few notes right now. In the period leading up to the American Civil War, Ephesians 6:5 on master-slave relationship was one of the Bible verses used by Confederate slaveholders in support of slaveholding position. Anyways, I'll probably talk about Saul more in a second here. So in Ephesians, or in the letter to the Ephesians, I guess it's important to notice that at the beginning, the letters are being written to the churches that seem to be doing good. The churches that are mostly being really good in the beginning. But Jesus still has fault. And that's because we need to be perfect. And they're not being perfect. And it's interesting, because how are they being imperfect? It's like they're too complacent. If you read the first letter, it's that they need to remember their first love, and to remember from whence thou art fallen, and to repent. This whole chapter, if you could sum up Revelation chapter 2 in one word, it would be repent. And to bash on Saul more, it really isn't something that you see Saul talk about a lot. He'll go on and on and on about love, 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 and about really convoluted stuff, but not going out there telling people to repent a whole lot, at least not from what I can tell. And the people who seem to follow Pauline stuff, they don't really seem that into repenting. And I think repenting is really important, critically important. Critically important, not only just very important. And Revelation chapter 2, just go read how many times it says repent in this chapter. It's a lot. And so that's, I think, the problem of the first church, that they were really good people. They were doing a lot of really good stuff. But the one thing, they had just become complacent, and that had made them stop repenting. Not being ready, almost. Because they're just like too relaxed. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good thing to know that you're never done repenting. I guess that's just a good message to take away. You're never done repenting. And I mean, once we're in heaven, we'll be done repenting, I guess. While you're still alive here for the first time, you're never done repenting. Okay, so more interesting things in this chapter. Something that is basically unknown about the Nicolaitans. It seems like there should be a lot of information. This seems like scrub. This seems like somebody scrubbed the information on this. We don't really know anything about these people. And it's possible that they're connected to eating food sacrificed to idols. Oh, look, here comes another Saul rant. In 1 Corinthians, Paul gives some of the most strange talking about, like, why would anyone... It's like the same thing the problem that I have with people that downplay works. I don't think that works are what give us salvation, but why would anybody downplay the importance of doing good works? It's like everybody should do good works. That's obvious. Same thing to me, in that it's one of those things that's like obvious, so why would you even go there? Saul gives this very convoluted thing about sacrificing food to idols, and the way he talks about it, you can see that he's being very manipulative to get his argument across. And is that the kind of thing that Jesus would say? Or is this like somebody just spouting their own opinion and trying to sound godly in doing so? Does anybody think that Jesus would tell people to go ahead and eat food that's been sacrificed to idols? I don't think so. I don't think that he would ever give any circumstance under which you would be eating food sacrificed to idols. I mean, I don't think anybody's out there where it's like a life or death situation where the only food available is something that's been sacrificed to an idol. Even though this is just a great topic in general, how it's something we don't really know. What does that even mean? Food sacrificed to idols. It seems like it was something so obvious back then that they don't even have to explain it. But to us, we can't even know for sure what it meant. Anyways, so in 1 Corinthians, if you want some more ammunition against Saul, in 1 Corinthians, Saul basically says that it's okay to eat food sacrificed to idols, as long as you're not tempting a Christian who's beneath you. Just the whole thing makes no sense to me. As somebody who's supposed to be an enlightened person, it doesn't seem like good advice to me at all. And it seems like it goes against what Jesus taught. And so I think it's just a glaringly obvious chink in his armor, 1 Corinthians, where Saul basically tells people it's okay to eat food sacrificed to idols, but he gives this strange, convoluted, but you shouldn't do it because maybe... No, that's not... We're supposed to make our communications simple. Saul's communications are very not simple and dangerous. Would you eat food sacrificed to idols and just feel okay about it? I wouldn't. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. The Jews. I'll just leave it at that. The Revelation talks many times about the crown symbolically, and what do you know? So here's the thing. Do you know why school tries to just drill into your head that symbolism only happens in really boring literature stuff? It's so that the NWO can come out with stuff like the current event and name it the thing that they named it, and people don't go, oh, wow, that's quite the word. That's quite the symbol. That's how low they're operating. They can't even think of the connection between that and the symbolically. So Revelation chapter 2 mentions Satan's seat being in Pergamos. Very interesting. Verse 14 mentions don't eat things sacrificed to idols. Tells you to repent. In this, a lot of stuff that in Revelation that it's like hard to pinpoint. Revelation, it's like a fever dream. And there's a lot of stuff that I know. I'm like, oh yeah, that's in Revelation, but it's not stuck in my mind what chapter at all. Whereas some other things I'll know generally, oh yeah, that happens about at this point. Revelation, no idea. I didn't know that chapter 2 was where it mentions the white stone with the name. That whole section, I love it. Very mysterious, but I always forget it's in this chapter, I guess. This chapter also talks about hidden manna. And Jezebel is a cool thing that gets mentioned here. I love it when stuff like that is just mentioned and it's like a real thing. And I think it's going into that, this Christianity that gets... People that talk about Jezebel often get portrayed as being like the crazy, crazy Christian, but that should just be mainstream. Jezebel is a real thing in the Bible. So I just like instances like that. And maybe I'll just keep bringing it up in this video. Why don't churches focus on things like Revelation? They should. Okay, maybe because it talks so much about repenting. I have again written here, repent. This chapter talks about repenting so much. Chapter 2, verse 23, give unto every one of you according to your works. I believe this is mentioned again at the very end of Revelation. And this is a good argument against the types of people that they try to downplay good works. And I'll never understand that. I think it's a really terrible argument. Why would you ever try to tell somebody that doing good works is not good? But they try to come at it at an angle of, they try to say you don't get to heaven through your works. And it's not the same argument. But the Bible makes it pretty clear that our reward in heaven is going to be based off of our works. And I don't know. That's what it says. I just read what it says. And that's what it says. I don't think that Because I understand the argument of, well, your works aren't going to save you. It's the thing of, well, what was that called? That's one of those things they teach in history class. I wasn't good in history. Where people would like pay money to the church to like get a thing, like a piece of paper from the church that's like, you're good, you're amazing. I forget the word for that, but I understand that aspect, that you can't puff yourself up with all these phony good works. It's just more subtle than that. God knows everybody's heart. A good work is when nobody sees you do it. And it's, I guess, a big topic. I personally think good works are really important. I think that we're supposed to do stuff and that you're supposed to do good works. I start to feel anxious when I haven't done anything for a long time, because I think it's important that we do things here. Lukewarmers, not welcome. Spit out. Okay, verse 24, which have not known the depths of Satan. A lot of people today, they can't even dip their little pinky toe into Satan and admitting that he's real. And anyways, that is one type of Christian you'll see today. You know exactly who I'm talking about. It's like they literally will plug their nose and like squinch their face together if they hear like a little potty word, let alone talk about Satan. Hold fast till I come. I will give him the morning star. So yeah, we already saw a mention of the morning star. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and God bless everyone.